Hello everyone, I hope you all are doing well and safe at home. Today we are going to discuss the subject analysis of history and civics. The analysis of all these subjects are available on the ICSE board official website, that is cisce.org. In this analysis of history civics, we are going to study that what kind of points and what kind of questions can be asked in the 80 marks paper. How many points to be mentioned for 1 or 2 marks questions as well as the long answers. We'll also see the presentation required for the examination paper. Let's begin with the discussion of an ideal history civics paper, which is of 80 marks. Our paper starts with part 1, which consists of 30 questions. In this part 1 of 30 marks, we have to attempt all the questions. So students, make sure to remember all these small topics from the history and civics part. It is very helpful when we start preparing these small answers. In a way, we are going towards the long answers. So once you attempt the 30 questions asked for 1 and 2 marks each, you are in a way prepared to go and attempt the long answers. We'll discuss each and every question one by one. Let's start with the question 1, which is of 10 questions from the civics part. The first question is, question A, name the 2 houses of the Indian Parliament. 1 mark question. Question B, what is meant by the term session? And question C, how is the Speaker of the Lok Sabha elected? Now students, let's see how these 3 questions need to be answered. So here, according to the marking scheme, the answer for question A, that is the 2 houses of parliament, you are required to mention the exact 2 houses. That's it. No any other extra information required, because this is 1 mark question. So Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, or we can say the House of People and Council of States, or another name, upper house and lower house. Any of the option you can write down. So I will write Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha are the 2 houses of parliament. 1 mark for this answer. Question 2 was, what does the term session mean? So we are going to only explain the meaning of session. So the session means a period during which the house needs to conduct its business. 1 mark allotted. If at all you wish to put up extra information, all you can do is mention any 2 sessions of the parliament. That is summer session or winter session. But here it is only required to write down the meaning of session. Once you explain the meaning, 1 mark given to you. And the third question was, how is the Speaker of the Lok Sabha elected? So we are going to write, the Speaker of the Lok Sabha is elected by the members of the Lok Sabha. Point number 1. Point number 2, he should be one amongst the members by simple majority of members present and voting. So here they have mentioned 2 points, but students, for 1 mark question, you can write down any 1 point. So this is how we are going to answer the question number 1, which is the 1-liners from the civics section. Now going to the question number 2 of part 1, which is based on history. Okay, so here again 10 questions will be asked from the history section, and these 10 questions will be for 2 marks each. Now naturally when it is 2 marks, we are going to write down 2 points. जब 2 marks पूछे गए हैं तो 2 marks के लिए 2 points लिखना जरूरी है. Let's take 2 or 3 questions from this session as well. So the first question from the history section is, Mention any two contributions of Bipin Chandra Pal in promoting nationalism. Let's go to the answer. As per the marking scheme, we will have to write down only the two contributions. As you can see, students, I have highlighted because in this ideal answer, they have given all the contributions of Bipin Chandra Pal. But it is on you to mention any two contributions. For example, me as a student, I will write down his role as a journalist and he worked for Bengal public opinion. Two contributions mentioned, 2 marks given for this question. Same way, let's go to the second question, that is, state any two methods adopted by the early nationalists in the national movement. Also, let's go for the third question. Why is October 16, 1905 regarded as an important day in the history of Indian national movement? Let's even discuss these two questions asked for 2 marks each. So the second question was the methods adopted by early nationalists. Here, clearly it is mentioned any 2 points. 2 marks के लिए 2 points. So I can mention any 2 points. For example, I'll write down, they made use of the press, newspapers and journals. Point number 1. Point number 2, they criticized the government policies. 2 points mentioned, 2 marks given to this question. Same way, the question third, that is the C part of the question, was why the date October 16, 1905 is of great importance. So here we have to mention the importance of this date. Which event took place on this date? So partition of Bengal led to communal disharmony and Congress felt it was a scheme of divide and rule policy. So the partition of Bengal took place on 16th of October 1905. Point number 1. And the second point which I mentioned is Congress felt the scheme of partition for divide and rule policy. So 2 points mentioned for this 2 marks question. So students, this is how we are going to write down the answers for our one-liners. One-liners means the short answers. Part 1, for which 10 marks for the 10 questions of civics section and 20 marks for the 10 questions from history section. All the 30 questions are compulsory. So we have to attempt all the questions, and also please keep in mind to mention only the required information since it is short answer. Okay? Now going to the next part of the paper, which is part 2 of 50 minutes. This part 2 is completely based on long answers. And when I say long answers, we all know it is either for 3 or 4 marks. History as a theory subject. We have to remember in this subject, as much marks are required, okay? That same amount of points needs to be mentioned. Here I have highlighted 3 marks, okay? Because we are going to take the example of question B. So if it is asked for 3 marks, I'll mention 3 points. As a student, I always used to write down an extra point. So it's just a suggestion, students. I have been telling this throughout my lectures as well. Always try to remember 1 extra point. Because when we sit to write down the answer, we tend to forget at times or we can make some mistakes. So always make sure that for 3 or 4 marks long answer, we need to prepare 4 or 5 points if it is given in that much context. So question number 3, okay, over here, this section A. First of all, let's concentrate on section A because part 2 is divided into section A and section B. Section A is based on civics part. 3 questions will be asked. That is, the 3 set of questions will be asked from the civics section. Out of this 3, you have to attempt any 2. So you have an option. You can go through all the 9 questions. Okay, one question having 3 sub-questions. So you can go through all the 9 questions and then decide which 2 set of questions you are confident for and then attempt the same. Also, when there is choice given in this part to students, it does not imply that we can leave any particular chapter for option. Make sure to prepare all the chapters thoroughly, because preparing for all the chapters is important, which is equally important to attempt the one liners. If we prepare all the chapters, we can confidently attempt all the 30 questions of part 1. Then we can be relaxed in part 2, because as it is, we'll be prepared with all the chapters. So in part 2, it will be fun. Okay, it will be actually nice to first of all analyze which 6 questions you are confident enough and then attempt it. So let's concentrate on question 3. We'll take one particular question, that is question number B. State any 3 exclusive powers of the Lok Sabha that is not enjoyed by any other house. So they are asking the exclusive powers of the Lok Sabha of our parliament. It is asked for 3 marks. So let's see how we have to present the answer, how we have to write down. So here is the answer number B. We need to mention any 3 exclusive powers. क्योंकि ये 3 points का है, ये 3 marks का question है. So here they have clearly mentioned that make sure to give the details of 3 exclusive powers. So the first exclusive power is motion of no confidence. Next, money bills can be introduced only in the Lok Sabha. Third point, deadlock between the 2 houses, and in this situation, the will of the Lok Sabha will prevail. And also an extra point is mentioned that Lok Sabha can pass an adjournment motion. So you can see this ideal answer is of 4 points. We will write down the 4 points, the 4 exclusive powers of Lok Sabha. Now let the examiner decide which 3 points are accurate, or all the 4 points are accurate, and you will get 3 on 3. So students, this is how you are going to prepare and write down the long questions asked in part 2, be it civics or history. Let's go to the second question, that is question 4. And here I have highlighted the 2 questions, that is question A. How is the President of India elected? Next question. State the composition of the electoral college that elects him. Question B of question number 4. Explain any 3 discretionary powers of the President. Let's see how these 2 questions are being answered. So as per the marking scheme, question number A, it had 2 questions. How is the President elected? So first we are going to answer this part. The President is elected indirectly by the members of an electoral college by single transferable vote or proportional representation. Now we'll answer the part 2 of this question. What is the composition of electoral college? What is the electoral college all about? So let's discuss that. Point number 1, elected members of both houses, that is Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha of Parliament. Point number 2, elected members of the legislative assemblies of the states, including the National Capital Territory of Delhi and the Union Territory of Puducherry. And lastly, the MPs and MLAs, that is the members of parliaments and the members of legislative assemblies of each and every state. So you can see the question is being answered very well. We answered how is the President elected, and point number 2, we answered the composition of electoral college. You can see in the composition of electoral college, we have discussed 3 points. Since this is a long question, we'll give the details of both the questions. Now question number B was, mention the discretionary powers of president. Any three discretionary powers. You can see over here that more than three powers are being discussed. And look over here, any 3 points. As I told you, if 4 marks, then 4 points, 3 marks, then 3 points. So out of all these discretionary powers, as a student, I'm going to write down any 3 points. Say for example, point number 1, his first power, where he uses his wisdom and judgment. Power number 2, dissolution of Lok Sabha during constitutional crisis. And power number 3, explore possibilities of alternative government at the center. 3 powers mentioned, 3 marks given to this question. Clear with it, students? Now going to the last question of section A of the part B, that is question number 5. Same what we did for question number 3 and 4. Let's take the first question, that is any 3 cases that come under the original jurisdiction of the Supreme Court. Okay, so it is asked for 3 marks. Also, I'll take one more question, that is Supreme Court as a court of record for 4 marks. Let's discuss the Supreme Court as a court of record for 4 marks. We have already discussed the 3 marks long answers where we saw the 3 points mentioned for the correct points. Now going to the C question of question number 5, that is the court of record. The court of record has 2 implications. Number 1, its judgment and orders are preserved as a record. Number 2, this can be produced in any court as precedents. Number 3, it is used for future references. Number 4, it is used as a testimony. Number 5, if a person commits a contempt of court, the court has the authority to punish this contempt. And number 6, the Supreme Court acts as the guardian of the Constitution. So 6 points are given for the 4 marks question, that is Supreme Court as a court of record. You need to mention any 4 points. Students, but over here they have written any 2 points. It is by mistake. It is any 4 points, okay? So make sure to mention any 4 points for the 4 marks question. So this is how we are going to attempt the part 2 and the section A of the civics part, okay? Out of 3 questions, you have to attempt any 2 set of questions. So either 3 or 4, 4 or 5, or 3 or 5, as you wish for. It is on your knowledge and your confidence to attempt the 2 set of questions. Write down the 3 points for the 3 marks question, 4 points for the 4 marks question, and grab your marks. Same way, the section B of part 2. Now this section B is for the history part, okay? So history part में से 5 questions पूछे जाएंगे, 5 set of questions. Out of this 5 set of questions, we have to attempt any 3. So we have choice of not attempting any 2 questions. But again, I'll tell you for the history part, make sure to be thorough with all the chapters. It will be helpful for the short answers of 2 marks each, क्योंकि वो compulsory section होता है. And talking about the long answers, it will be well for you. It will be better for you that you should be confident enough for any 3 set of questions and attempt it. Okay? So question number 6. Let's take example of all the 3 questions. This question number 6 is asked for the chapter First War of Independence 1857. Any 3 economic causes for 3 marks. Any 3 political causes for 3 marks. Now, any 3 political causes for 4 marks. My mistake, military causes. So economic and military causes are asked for 3 marks. So we are going to write down the 3 points. Political causes, though they have written 3 political causes, the marks allotted to it is 4 marks. So make sure students to write down the 4 points. Here we are going to explain the causes of the revolt of 1857 under subheadings such as economic causes, military causes and political causes. So you can see over here economic exploitation, okay, or exploitation of economic resources. So economic causes में बहुत सारे अलग अलग economic causes हैं, मतलब there are too many sub points, out of which you can mention any three. So I'll mention number one, exploitation of economic resources, number two, drain of wealth, and number three, decay of cottage industries and handicrafts. These three sub-economic causes will be mentioned by me as a student and explained. You can see over here, again it is written any 3 points. Same way, question B was for military causes. So you will mention any 3 military causes of your choice. You will study all the military causes, but exam के time पे आपको जो 3 military causes confident लगे, that you can answer properly, make sure you mention, you give the answer for these 3 causes and grab your 3 points. And same way, the last question is for 4 marks. So you can see over here, it is clearly highlighted. Though it was mentioned in the question, 3 political causes of the 1857 revolt, but the marks for it was 4. So that is why I'll mention any 4 points. Okay, out of all these points, I'll mention the 4 points. For example, number 1, policy of expansion. Number 2, subsidiary alliance. Number 3, by outright wars, that is the war of Sindh, Punjab, Buxar, Anglo-Maratha, Anglo-Mysore and Anglo-Sikh wars. Point number 4, by using the doctrine of lapse and explanation of this policy as well as the states affected like Satara and Jhansi. So students, in this section, they have given 3 or 4 causes as per the marks allotted. Make sure to mention these causes as well as explain them in one line. This is how you are going to write down your long answer for history section. Same way, like question number 6, you will have question number 7 having 3 set of questions, that is 3, 3, 4 or 3, 4, 3, that is 2 questions asked for 3 marks and 1 question for 4 marks. Let's take an example over here for the Dandi March of 1930. So you can see over here, any 3 points of Dandi March are required for this question. Let's discuss this answer. Dandi March. On the 2nd of March 1930, Gandhiji wrote a letter to the Viceroy of India. Point number 1. Point number 2, communicating his decision to start the civil disobedience movement. Point number 3, on 12th of March, it began, the Dandi March began, where Mahatma Gandhi's historic march from Sabarmati Ashram to Dandi, a village on the Gujarat sea coast, started. Point number 4, 78 people followed him. Point number 5, he reached Dandi on 5th of April. Point number 6, on the morning of 6th of April, Gandhiji violated the salt laws by picking up some salt left by the sea waves. And point number 6, Gandhiji signaled to disobey the government law. So you can see through these 6 points, the Dandi March is being explained. Though this question is for 3 marks, I would suggest you to write down 4 points because here the explanation of a particular event is being given. Previous question, that is question number 6, they had asked the 3 causes, okay? So they are asked for 3 particular causes where we could easily mention the 3 points. But now talking about question number 7, the question which we have picked is the event of Dandi March, the historic event by Mahatma Gandhi. So it is better if you describe the whole Dandi March in 3 points. You can cut short your points and mention the important events in this Dandi March. Clear with it? So students, question number 6, question number 7, Same way, we have to attempt question number 8 in the sense, attempt in the sense, out of question number 6, 7, 8. Question number 9 and question number 10. It is on you that which three particular set of questions you are confident enough and attempt it. So question number 6, 7, 8 and 10 are similar, students, where three sub questions are asked for 3 or 4 marks each. Okay. But question number 9 over here is asked as a different question. That is, this is all about a picture study. We are not going to discuss this question in detail, but I have mentioned this question number 9. I'm taking this question number 9 because it is important to know the details of a picture study. Out of the 10 set of questions, you have to attempt any 3. So it is on your choice to attempt the 3 whole theory based questions or to attempt 2 theory set of questions and 1 picture study. A particular picture will be given from your chapters, any one particular chapter, and the questions will be asked on it. So students, you should develop the skills, okay, to identify the pictures. You should practice this picture study from the different chapters you have in your textbook, okay, and make sure to stick to the scope of this syllabus. We have to only study that part of the chapter which is under the scope of our syllabus. Okay, students? So this is how the whole paper of history civics for 80 marks will be there for our board exams. We will attempt all the questions from part 1 of 30 marks. And from the part 2, we have a choice to to attempt any 2 set of questions from the civics part and 3 set of questions from the history marks. Now, lastly, we'll discuss the important points from all the chapters of our textbook, okay? These are the general comments given by the council of our ICSE board. These general comments are of very importance, okay? Because here they have given us the important topics to be covered while preparing for our examination. So let's go through these important points, these important topics, okay? So starting with the first topic, which is difficult or confusion, okay? It is confusing or difficult as a student, on a part of a student, okay, while attempting the questions. So there are important some points like sessions and quorums. From the Union Parliament, you need to remember the sessions and quorums, as well as you also have to remember the body that decides the majority policies of the government. Now going to the chapter, the Prime Minister and Council of Ministers, you have to mention the difference between the Cabinet Ministers and the Council of Ministers. You need to study this part properly. Coming to the history part, difference between the methods adopted by the early nationalist and aggressive nationalist. So this point asks us to concentrate on the chapter's first phase and second phase of Indian national movement. The next is objectives of INA and forward block. As per the scope of the revised syllabus, from the chapter INA and forward block, we are only going to study the objectives. To concentrate on the World War I, meaning of imperialism and how it was one of the main causes of the World War I. Keep this as an important point, important topic to study, as well as from the World War II, Treaty of Versailles as a cause of World War II. The Treaty of Versailles is of very, very important, students. It is asked in the chapter World War I as well as chapter World War II. Now coming back to the civic section, Union Parliament, please make sure to concentrate on legislative powers, on exclusive powers, as well as the executive and legislative powers of the president. And lastly, talking about the courts, we only have to study about the Supreme Court. Supreme Court की original jurisdiction, appellate jurisdiction and revisory jurisdiction. Apart from that, Supreme Court as a court of record, judicial review and revisory jurisdiction. These are the other topics you need to concentrate from this chapter. Now, all these points, the second part, these are the very, very important suggestions for you students. All these suggestions are very helpful while attempting the board examination. So first thing, remember history is based on chronology of events and dates. Definitely. If we start from our first chapter, that is First War of Independence 1857, till the last chapter, that is the United Nations and its major agencies. All the important dates and events are mentioned in the chronology. It all started from First War of Independence from the year 1757 till the last chapter 1947 or 1950. That's the time when we achieved independence. So it is very easy to remember the events and dates if you go and you go and study it in a chronological way. Also, a particular PDF is being prepared. Okay, we will be giving you a particular sheet where all the important dates and events are mentioned of our history chapters. Next thing, you should plan your notes in proper chronological order to remember the correct sequence of events to diminish the probability of getting confused. Just as I said right now. First War of Independence की सारी dates chronology wise लिखनी है. 1757, 1760, 1764, 1770, all the important dates and the events that took place. So you can make down a note, okay? You can prepare your own notes according to the chapter wise. And our chapters are according to the years. They are in chronological form. So it will be easy for you to prepare the notes. Next, mark and underline the keywords and the key points in your textbook for retention of relevant points and to write the answers specifically to the questions. You can highlight, you can mark the important keywords, the key points, because students' board exams requires key points and the keywords. As a teacher, when I'm correcting the paper, I first try to concentrate on the keywords, on the key points mentioned by the student. If I find all the key points are relevant for this given question, full marks are allotted to you. Apart from that, you should always try to attend the regular test and assessments. Okay, in our RoboMate app, we have the small assessment test which you can attempt, as well as you can also ask me about any doubts and we can clear it. Apart from that, you should also attempt the last year papers. Okay, we provide you a book, okay, where you are given all the last year papers questions. So you can keep on practicing these questions, which will help you for the better performance in our board examinations. Last but not the least, follow the scope of syllabus and then adjust your learning. Okay, stick to the scope of syllabus. The year 2020 to 2021, okay, this year we have received many reductions, okay, many revised syllabus from our boards. So the final revised syllabus is being given to us and we will be sticking to this scope. ये scope में जितना भी topic cover होता है, you have to only learn this particular topics. And very, very important point is, do not write unwanted detail in an answer. History is a theory subject, students, and in theory subjects, always remember to stick to the scope and stick to the points. The question which is asked for, just mention the details in context to that question. Never go and write down the unwanted details. Okay, that will just give a bad presentation of your paper. Apart from that, you will also waste your time. We have to attempt the 80 marks theory paper. So make sure to stick and write down limited required 3 or 4 points for the long answers and 1 or 2 points for the short answers. Clear with this? So this is the end of our analysis of history civics. Now, lastly, I'll show you the ideal answer sheet, okay, for the examination, how you're going to write down your answers in examination. So this is one of the paper, okay, attempted by a student of MT Educare, and you can see how well the paper is being presented. Part 1, question number 1, the 10 one-liners from the civics question. You can see how the key points are underlined. The two types of authority in a federal setup of India are the union and state government. So you can get it that the question asked is, what is the federal system of government? Now, as a student, the two key points are mentioned, they are underlined, that is union government and state government. So as a teacher, I get my two keywords, give them right one on one. So you can see how all the one-liners are written down with the specific 1 or 2 points and the keywords are being underlined. Same way, students, I'll take you to the long answers. Okay, before that, going to the question 2 of part 1, that is the history section, जहाँ पे 10 questions पूछे जाते हैं for 2 marks each. So here as well, you can see the 2 points are mentioned and the keyword is being underlined. Okay, the pretext of alleged misrule. This part is underlined, so I can clearly come to know that this question was asked for the alleged misrule, and this keyword highlights your important date, that is 1856. Now directly going to the last section, that is of long answer, students. How the long answers are to be attempted. Okay, so let's let's go to the part 3. As you can see over here, question 3, number A. Okay, the question number A, the Lok Sabha has special powers which makes it more powerful than the Rajya Sabha, and these are the special powers. So as we had discussed in the subject analysis of history civics, that is the special powers, the exclusive powers of Lok Sabha. So you can see how well the 3 exclusive powers are being mentioned. Point number 1, point number 2, and point number 3. As well as the key words, the key points, that is the headers of these exclusive powers are being underlined. That is motions of no confidence, money bill, and deadlock. So this gives me an idea. As a teacher, it gives me idea that the student has already mentioned the 3 exclusive powers of Lok Sabha. Now let's go in detail and read it. So that is how I'm going to check the paper. Okay, so this is how you are going to prepare and present your paper. You can see how the paper presentation is being done. Very clear and precise points are being written down for the given question, as well as the keywords are being mentioned over here. You can also see one of the history long answer. Okay, yes. So this is the long answer of history. Question number 6. The several factors that contributed to the change in the attitude of the Indian soldiers towards the company. So here they have asked about the ill treatment, or you can say the military causes of the first war of independence. So they have mentioned, the student has mentioned General Service Enlistment Act and the details of it. Point number 2, ill treatment of Indian soldiers and its details. Point number 3, deprivation of allowances. So you can see how clearly 3 causes, that is the 3 sub causes of the military causes of first war of independence are being mentioned with the underlining of the keywords. So students, this is how you are going to present your paper in your board examinations. Okay, and I hope you are clear enough with the marking scheme, with the writing down of particular points, with the attempting of the questions asked in the 80 marks paper. All the very best to all of you. Prepare well and good luck.